Hey guys, it's me, Hazette. This is going to be my video about cancer because I've been talking about it for a little bit here and I think that I might as well get it over with. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so back in 2007, in January of 2007, I was just hanging out actually in this very building, and I was just on my computer and I was just kind of like touching my neck and just kind of hanging out and being cool, and all of a sudden I felt like this great big lump on one side of my neck, and I was like, that doesn't seem right. And I went over to the other side of my neck and there was no lump at all. Then I went back to this side and there was absolutely some kind of problem. So at first I just said, okay, that's not good, but maybe I just have like a swollen gland or something. Maybe I'm about to get sick, who knows? But it didn't go away in a few days. I had no pain. There was no pain at all for this. It was just a big, ugly looking lump, like a goiter. And it sucks to say, but I was hoping that it was a goiter because, the alternatives were a lot worse. So I went to see my doctor and she was kind of like, ooh yeah, that's a thing. So they took a needle of liquid out of my neck and they sent me home. And then I just kind of worried a whole bunch, but I didn't want to know all of the things. So unlike what I usually do, I chose not to research anything about thyroid cancer, not to look for anything, because, it could have been a number of things at this point. They were just like, oh yeah, you have to have out like half of your thyroid so that we can check to make sure it's not cancer. And they gave me an option. The options were, you can have your whole thyroid out and they'll put you on a pill every day for the rest of your life, or you can have half of it taken out and we'll test it. And then either you won't need any more surgery because it's not cancerous and it's just, some kind of fluke. And then your other half will be able to take care of you and it'll be okay. Or you're going to have a second surgery and have this other half of your thyroid taken out once we decide that it is cancerous. Now, I do not have the best luck. So my first reaction was take out the whole thing, because I already know that it's going to be a stupid fluky thing and I'm going to have to come back in for a second surgery, and I really don't want to do that. So you might as well just lop the whole thing out right now. And they talked me out of it. And I instinctually knew that they were wrong because I just have bad luck. And like I said, I spent 6 months just crying in the dark and not eating properly or taking care of anything that I should be taking care of. So I said, take the whole thing out. And they actually talked me out of that. It's like, we have two options for you, but we only want you to take one of them, and it doesn't matter if you want the other one because we're not really going to do that. We're going to give you the illusion of making up your mind and what you want to do. So I went in for surgery a few months later. It was fairly quick because they knew that probably there was a problem. So I went in and they put an 8-centimeter gash into my neck and they pulled out half of my thyroid and they took it off for testing, which I feel like they should have the capabilities to do on site as it's happening while the person is, under for surgery. Just take out the thyroid, run it to the next room, check it for cancer, and then either take out the rest of the thyroid or stitch her up and it's fine. But no! So I had to be stitched up and then I had to survive through the hospital. I think I rolled over, they put a tube in my neck to drain out the gross icky stuff. And I think I rolled over it on my sleep or I pulled it or something because that sucked. And then I went home with this big surgery scar and all these steri strips and all that crap. And I was dating this complete moron, and he is a complete moron, so it's not defamatory or anything to say that. And he tango dipped me 2 days after my surgery. He grabbed me and he dipped me. He put my head to the floor like this, and I was nearly, I don't know what the hell he was thinking, but he's an idiot. So you know who you are. I'm sure you'll never watch this video, but I'm with the other group of us who all don't like you. So after that happened and I came back and I was feeling not so good and I had this whole big thing and I was on T3s with codeine that I didn't really take because they didn't do anything except for give me a headache. About a month and a half later, they called me back in and they said, it's cancer, you have to get a second surgery. And I said, oh, that's really great, thank you so much. And they told me if I had to choose a type of cancer to get, it would be thyroid cancer. It's the best one, which I kind of disagree with. I think that skin cancer might be a bit better because invasive surgery is way worse than just a little freezing, or if you know what you're doing, you can take care of that without surgery at all. And if I had known the things that I know now, I would have given myself a shot to cure myself by myself. But this was 2007 and I had no idea what was going on. So 2 days before my second surgery, I went to the hospital to go over everything I needed to go through, like anesthetics and, you know, the aftercare and all of that stuff, my medical history, and blah, blah, blah. So I go to the hospital and an intake nurse pulls me into her office and I sit down with her. And she's looking at her computer, and I'm fairly nosy, and since I've got Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease, and nobody knows what the heck that is, and I'm my biggest advocate, I was looking at her screen, and at some point I noticed that something that said medical history said creutzfedt-jacobs disease. And I was like, what the heck is that? And the nurse just said, it's another name for your disease. And then she kept on going on what she was doing, and all I could think was like, no, that's impossible. How? That doesn't make any sense. How is it possible that this hospital, which up till this point, not one person I've run into in this hospital knows what CMT disease is. How is it possible that they've put something on my medical history that I've never heard of before? How is it possible that another name for Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease is creutzfeldt-jacobs disease? I don't understand and I don't agree. So she kept going on about like my next of kin and my address and all that stuff. And I just said, could you actually like go and check to make sure that that's another name for my disease? Because I don't get it. So she left and she came back into the room with like an encyclopedia about this big medical journal thing. And she opened it up and she was facing directly across from me. So while she had the book open and it was like right side up for her, it was like backwards for me. So I was looking down on her lap and I could only see the things upside down. I helped her find the page that said Creutzfeldt-Jacobs disease. And she did this whole thing. Like, pretended that she was reading, okay? And then she looked up at me and she's like, yep, it's just another name for your disease. She closed the book and she carried on. And I was, like, blown away because, like, how is there something brand new about my condition that I've never heard of before? This is absolutely phenomenal. And a couple minutes later, she said, you were in here a couple months ago, so I'm going to go and I'm going to go talk to your doctor and maybe we won't have to go through, like, the whole anesthetic thing again. So she left me alone in the room with the book. And I'm nosy. So logically, I opened the book and I found Creutzfeldt-Jacobs disease. And I read that it's like a slowly moving prion disease, it's a virus that will eat your brain and cause dementia and fatality within a year.
Also known as a human variant of mad cow disease.
So 2 days later, when I went to the hospital to have my thyroid taken out for good, I told every single person from like the secretary all the way through that I did not have mad cow disease, because they diagnose mad cow disease by taking out half of your brain after you die. So I did not want them to screw up so badly that they were going to take my brain out to diagnose this thing that I don't have. So when I went to the hospital, I told every single person I possibly could that I do not have mad cow disease and don't take my brain out and it'll be fine. And one nurse actually had the audacity to tell me, oh, well, if we screw up and you never wake up, you won't know. No, it's okay. Like, wow, that is some phenomenally terrible bedside manner. But somehow, even as I was being rolled in for surgery, my doctor, my surgeon who was about to like do the surgery, he's like flipping through my book and he's like looking at all my medical history, and I tell him I don't have mad cow disease. And at first he thought it was a joke, and then he looked down at maybe he was playing me for a fool, I don't know. But he looked down and he was just like, oh, it's still on your record. We'll take care of that as soon as we can. And so I got rolled into the surgery room, really not knowing, like, am I going to die? Am I ever going to wake up again? Am I going to be all right? And they didn't even tell me this part, but they could have taken my voice. Having my neck operated on could have, like, killed my vocal cords completely. I could be mute. I could have to do the whole sign language thing. With CMT, you don't want to have to do that. But yeah, So I woke up and it was horrible and I hated it, and I was still with the idiot who tango dipped me, and he was like cheating on me and doing a whole bunch of other things, but that was like the least of my concerns. 2007 was the worst year I've ever lived through. And I've had some crap happen to me, but 2007 took the cake. So then they put me on these pills, which I have to take every single day. And if I don't take them for a few months or 6 months or something, I will die. My hair will start to fall out. I think I'll get really fat, and like my skin will start to get real. So I have to stay on them, and I have to do blood work quite often. Every couple months, I got to go get a needle stuck in my arm and have blood taken out of it. But that's nothing because I've got stabbing pains all over me. So ha 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 ha. So that's fine. But I will say that there is a barrage of symptoms with being hypothyroid or hyperthyroid. There is like a big group of symptoms. And then there's a big group of symptoms for CMT. And it just so happens that these symptoms go like this with each other. And I'm in this little thing. So I've got like irritability, tremors, trouble sleeping, stomach problems I used to have. I'll talk about that later. And just so many things. Trouble sleeping, trouble getting comfortable, weird body achy pain all over, and fatigue, weakness, and just feeling like crap all the time. Fatigue, sore and tired when I wake up, sore and tired when I go to sleep. So I just joined a thyroid support group, and they're all complaining about having Charcot-Marie tooth without knowing that they have Charcot-Marie tooth. Without the foot deformities, they all have CMT, which is terrible because it means that I've got CMT times 2, basically. So I'm kind of already feeling like a little old lady, and that's okay because I'm used to it. But yeah, I haven't really felt that good since I had my thyroid out. But I wasn't really feeling that good before that either. So it's an interesting paradigm where I am a combination of problems going on. But I've got like neurologists who like, if I had to choose a kind of cancer, I would choose thyroid cancer. It's like, really, I don't think anybody would want to choose both of these things together because I feel like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons sounds good. I'm so weak and everything is terrible and I'm trying to be as positive as I can. And you know, it could be worse. It could be a lot worse. I can still walk and I still have my hair, but I will say I've lost a lot of my hair, and that's not a CMT thing. That is a thyroid thing. Like, I've lost so much hair that I don't even need a hairbrush anymore. And I used to need one. My hair gets very tangled, but I don't need it anymore.
And I used to do a fair bit of modeling, and after I had thyroid cancer and after I had my thyroid taken out, I actually spent a fair amount of my modeling sessions wearing a scarf because the scar was fairly unsightly. It wasn't the best looking thing. And I actually got into a book and an art exhibit called Young and Fearless, Cancer Survivors, Young Cancer Survivors Story. By Sherry Tucker. She's a very talented photographer, and she, I don't know if she's still doing a display every year, but she was doing one, and every year, you know, a group of young cancer survivors would contact her, and she would do such a thing. I used to tell people I'd gotten into a fight with a guitar player who tried to strangle me with a guitar string, because I thought it was kind of funny. But I had a really talented surgeon, and he made my scar almost invisible, so I can hardly see it today. But here's a picture of it.
Anyway, I guess that's probably most of my rant on thyroid cancer, and I survived, so that's good. But I feel like crap, and that's bad. And yeah, so just want to create all of the things, and that's what I'm going to do. Thank you so much for listening to me. I love you guys, and I will see you soon. Bye!